Business is not always about sunshine and easy wins. It's about how you rise when storms come. Hard times will test your patience, your belief, and your endurance. But let me remind you, every great success story you admire was born in the middle of a struggle. The first thing you must do is shift your mindset. Stop asking, why is this happening to me? And start asking, how can I use this? The moment you flip the question, you take back control of your power. Problems don't shrink when you complain. They shrink when you decide to face them head on. Next, you must revisit your WHY. Why did you start this business? Was it freedom? Was it impact? Was it to create a life you once only dreamed about? In hard times, money alone won't keep you going. Purpose will. Your bubble HY is the fuel that keeps your fire burning when the winds are against you. Third, stop overwhelming yourself by staring at the mountain. Instead, focus on small wins. Break the big challenge into steps you can accomplish today. Progress, even tiny progress, creates momentum, and momentum creates belief. And belief is everything in business. When times get hard in business, the very first thing you must do is shift your mindset. Everything starts in the mind. The way you think about challenges, setbacks, and uncertainty determines the way you act, and the way you act determines your results. Most people, when difficulty shows up, fall into a habit of asking the wrong questions. They say, why is this happening to me? Or why does it always go wrong? The problem with those questions is that they lock your brain into a cycle of blame, doubt, and fear. You start searching for reasons to justify why things won't work instead of looking for ways to make them work. The truth is, problems don't shrink when you complain about them. They only grow. But when you change the question, you change the outcome. The moment you ask, how can I use this? What can I learn here? How can this challenge make me stronger? You begin to unlock creative solutions that were invisible before. Shifting your mindset is not about ignoring reality or pretending things are easy. It's about choosing to focus on what you can control instead of what you cannot. If the market is slow, if your product didn't perform, if competition is stronger than you expected, those facts may not change overnight. But what you can control is how you respond. You can control your energy, your focus, your willingness to adapt, and your persistence. That's the essence of an empowered mindset, taking responsibility for your response. Because while you cannot always control circumstances, you can always control the meaning you give them and the action you take after. Think about history. Every major innovation, every industry shift, and every new breakthrough came out of a moment where people were forced to think differently. Obstacles forced them to innovate. Recessions forced businesses to reimagine. And individuals who once thought they couldn't endure ended up discovering a strength they didn't know they had. Your mind, when pressured, can either break down or break through. The choice is yours. When you decide that challenges are not the end, but the beginning of something new, you give yourself permission to rise above circumstances. This shift in mindset also requires a deep awareness of the stories you tell yourself daily. If the story is, this is impossible, or I'm not capable, then your actions will reflect that. You will hesitate, you will procrastinate, and you will settle. But if the story becomes, this challenge is here to grow me, or I will figure this out no matter what, then suddenly your energy shifts. You start to look for resources. You start to notice opportunities you missed before. Your brain is wired to find evidence for whatever story you believe, so choose one that empowers you instead of one that limits you. A practical way to shift your mindset during tough times is to practice gratitude and reframing. Gratitude forces you to see what is working even when much isn't. It breaks the cycle of negativity that drains your power. Reframing means looking at the same situation from a different angle. For example, if your sales dropped, instead of saying, I'm failing, reframe it as, this is showing me where I need to improve my strategy. The event is the same, but the meaning changes, and when the meaning changes, your motivation changes. Another key piece of this mindset shift is focusing on growth rather than perfection. When you get stuck in perfection, you punish yourself for every mistake, and mistakes are guaranteed during hard times. But when you focus on growth, every mistake becomes feedback. You stop labeling situations as wins or losses and start labeling them as lessons. That one adjustment can keep you motivated far longer than simply chasing results, because results are not always immediate, but growth is always possible. Hard times in business are not there to destroy you. They are there to demand a higher version of you. They force you to think smarter, to act bolder, and to develop resilience that comfort never builds. Shifting your mindset is the foundation of that transformation. It is choosing to rise instead of retreat, to create instead of complain, to lead instead of wait. Once you make that shift, you are no longer a victim of circumstances. You become the driver of change. And that mindset is what keeps you moving, no matter how heavy the storm may be. When business feels heavy and difficult, one of the strongest anchors you can hold on to is your why. Your why is not just a statement or a goal written in a notebook. It is the deeper purpose that fuels every action you take. Without it, motivation fades quickly. With it, even the hardest times cannot shake you. People often start their business journey with dreams of financial freedom, independence, or making an impact. But as challenges mount, many forget what first lit the fire inside them. They become buried under problems, bills, pressure, and comparison. The danger is that when you lose sight of your why, you lose the energy that keeps you moving forward when everything else tells you to stop. That is why reconnecting to your why is not just motivational talk. It is survival for your business spirit. Think of it this way: profit is important, but profit alone is not enough to pull you out of bed during seasons of loss. If money was the only driver, most businesses would have shut down during their first major struggle. But those who endure are the ones whose purpose runs deeper than financial gain. A parent who wants to build a better future for their children will fight harder than someone who is just chasing numbers. A person who started their business to solve a real problem in the world will find creativity and resilience in places others never look. Your why turns ordinary effort into extraordinary persistence. It becomes your compass when you feel lost and your energy source when you feel drained. When times are hard, ask yourself, why did I begin? Was it to prove to myself that I could build something from nothing? Was it to create freedom for my family? Was it to leave a legacy? Whatever your answer is, keep it close, because it is bigger than any single setback. Every great entrepreneur, every leader, every innovator faced failures and rejections that could have ended them, but they pushed through because their why was stronger than their fear. Purpose is the invisible hand that keeps you moving when logic says to quit. Revisiting your why also means making it real and present. Write it down where you can see it daily. Speak it out loud when you feel discouraged. Visualize the life, the impact, and the transformation that your business represents. The more vivid your why becomes in your mind, the harder it is to give up when struggles appear. And here's the truth: there will always be struggles. The market shifts, customers change, costs rise, competitors emerge. Those things are guaranteed. What is not guaranteed is your willingness to stand up against them, and that willingness is fueled by the clarity of your purpose. Your why also creates resilience because it connects your work to something larger than yourself. If your why is only about personal comfort, the moment discomfort arrives, you will quit. But if your why is about people you love, communities you serve, or problems you are determined to solve, then you carry a responsibility bigger than temporary emotions. This responsibility transforms fear into fuel. It tells you, I cannot stop because too much is riding on this. That level of commitment turns even the hardest times into temporary hurdles instead of permanent walls. Finally, your why gives you meaning beyond immediate results. Business is unpredictable. Some days you will feel unstoppable, and other days you will feel like nothing is working. But when your why is clear, you stop measuring yourself only by today's outcomes. Instead, you measure yourself by alignment. Did you act in service of your purpose today? Did you stay committed to what matters most? That shift in measurement reduces pressure and increases consistency, and consistency is where long-term success is born. So when the weight of business feels too heavy, pause and remember the reason you started. Revisit it, reconnect to it, and let it become the fire that keeps you moving forward. Because in the end, money may sustain the business, but purpose sustains the entrepreneur. And if your why is powerful enough, no setback will be strong enough to stop you. One of the most common reasons people lose motivation in business during difficult times is because they focus too much on the size of the mountain instead of the steps needed to climb it. When you stare only at the final outcome, whether that's achieving a revenue goal, building a large customer base, or expanding into new markets, the gap between where you are and where you want to be can feel overwhelming. That feeling of being stuck in a gap too wide to cross drains your energy and leads to procrastination. But there is a powerful way to shift this: break your big goals into small, achievable wins. This approach not only builds momentum, but also keeps your motivation alive through progress. The human brain thrives on accomplishment. Every time you complete a task, even a small one, your brain releases chemicals that give you a sense of achievement and satisfaction. That little sense of victory fuels your drive to continue. On the other hand, when you constantly chase huge goals without breaking them into smaller steps, you rarely feel accomplished. Instead, you feel behind, inadequate, and defeated. This is why people quit, because they never feel like they are winning. The secret is to turn the big goal into smaller, manageable targets that create continuous moments of progress. Imagine wanting to double your business revenue. If that is the only thing you focus on, it may feel impossible when times are hard, but if you break it down, the path becomes manageable. Ask yourself, what are the weekly actions I can take? How many calls can I make? How many potential clients can I reach out to? How can I improve my product or service by 1% each week? Suddenly, instead of facing one giant goal, you are facing dozens of small, achievable tasks. Each one completed builds momentum, and momentum builds belief. Small wins are not about lowering your standards or settling for less. They are about creating stepping stones that lead to your vision. Every major accomplishment in history was the result of consistent small actions compounded over time. Businesses are built not on one grand action, but on thousands of small, repeated choices: making the call, refining the process, learning the skill, improving customer service, and showing up every single day. When you recognize this, you realize that your power lies not in doing everything at once, but in doing the next right thing consistently. Breaking goals into small wins also helps you manage the emotional weight of hard times. Large goals carry heavy pressure, and when circumstances are already stressful, that pressure can feel crushing. But small wins reduce that burden. Instead of carrying a mountain on your shoulders, you carry a stone. And when you carry enough stones, eventually the mountain is built. That's the power of small wins. They turn the impossible into possible through steady progress. Another benefit of this approach is clarity. When goals are too big and vague, you waste time trying to figure out where to start. That confusion becomes paralysis. But when you break the goal into specific, measurable steps, you know exactly what needs to be done today. Clarity creates action, and action creates results. For example, if your goal is to gain 100 new customers, don't just stare at that number. Break it down into how many leads you need each week, how many conversations you must initiate, and how many follow-ups you must do. Suddenly, the path is no longer a mystery, it's a plan. And perhaps the most important aspect of small wins is the way they build confidence. Confidence does not come from sitting and waiting to feel ready. It comes from taking action and proving to yourself that you can make progress. Every small win tells your brain, I can do this. And the more you collect these wins, the more unstoppable you become. Hard times in business can shake your confidence, but the discipline of breaking goals into small wins rebuilds it piece by piece until you are strong enough to face any challenge. So, instead of being crushed by the size of your vision, choose to honor the process. Break it down, step into small wins daily, and allow the power of consistent progress to carry you forward. The truth is, success is not a single leap, it is a series of steady steps. And if you commit to those steps, no matter how difficult the road becomes, you will keep moving closer to the business and life you are determined to create. The people you surround yourself with in business, especially during hard times, have more influence on your mindset and motivation than most realize. Energy is contagious, and it spreads whether you are conscious of it or not. If you spend your time around people who constantly complain, focus on problems, and see only the obstacles, you will absorb that energy. Their negativity will slowly weaken your vision, make you doubt your abilities, and drain the drive you once had. On the other hand, when you surround yourself with people who believe in growth, see possibilities in the middle of difficulties, and encourage you to keep going, their energy fuels your own. This is why your environment is not neutral. It is either pushing you forward or pulling you back. In difficult seasons of business, when doubt already feels heavy, the wrong voices can be destructive. All it takes is one repeated message of, it's too hard, or maybe it's not for you, to plant seeds of giving up. These seeds grow quickly if left unchecked. But the right environment creates the opposite effect. Instead of feeding doubt, it feeds courage. Instead of echoing fear, it speaks belief. You need people around you who remind you of your potential when you forget it yourself, who challenge you to rise higher, and who won't allow you to settle for less than what you are capable of. Your environment also includes the mentors, leaders, or role models you choose to follow. In hard times, guidance becomes priceless. A mentor who has walked the road before you can provide perspective you don't yet have. They can show you that what feels like the end is often just a turning point. They can help you shorten your learning curve and avoid mistakes that drain time and energy. Without this kind of influence, you may repeat the same errors, or worse, quit before you realize how close you were to a breakthrough. Choosing the right voices to learn from is one of the most powerful ways to stay motivated. It is equally important to be intentional about limiting your exposure to negative influences. This could mean reducing time spent with people who constantly complain or disengaging from online spaces that amplify fear and hopelessness. What you consume, whether it is conversations, social media, or even the news, becomes part of your mental diet. Just like your body weakens with junk food, your mind weakens with toxic input. Protecting your mental state during hard times is not optional, it is essential for survival in business. Surrounding yourself with the right energy also means building a supportive peer group. Other entrepreneurs or professionals who understand the pressures of business can provide encouragement that others cannot. They know what it feels like to face setbacks, and their insights can remind you that you are not alone in your struggle. Sometimes just hearing, I went through the same thing and came out stronger, can reignite the determination to keep moving forward. These relationships don't just provide motivation, they also provide accountability. When you are tempted to give up, the right people will hold you to your commitments and push you to honor your vision. But it is not only about receiving energy, it is also about giving it. When you support others, encourage them, and share your knowledge, you create a cycle of positivity that strengthens both sides. The act of uplifting others reinforces your own belief and keeps your focus on possibilities rather than limitations. Leadership is not only about guiding others, it is also a powerful way to stay connected to your own motivation. The more you give, the more you remind yourself of what is possible. Another aspect of surrounding yourself with the right energy is curating your daily environment. This includes the books you read, the podcasts you listen to, the videos you watch, and the spaces you work in. If your physical and digital environment inspires growth, creativity, and resilience, it becomes much easier to stay motivated. Even small changes, like filling your workspace with quotes that inspire you or listening to stories of entrepreneurs who overcame hardship, can shift your energy in powerful ways. Ultimately, the quality of your environment shapes the quality of your thoughts, and your thoughts shape the quality of your actions. Hard times in business will always test you, but when you are surrounded by energy that uplifts, challenges, and inspires, you don't just survive the storm, you grow stronger in it. You cannot always control the circumstances you face, but you can control the people and influences you allow into your circle. Choose wisely, because your environment is either the weight that holds you down or the wind that carries you forward. When challenges strike in business, most people see them only as roadblocks, as problems that signal something is wrong, or as reasons to doubt themselves. But the truth is, every challenge carries within it the seed of opportunity. The key difference between those who fall behind and those who rise stronger is perspective. When you view challenges only as setbacks, you freeze, you hesitate, and you drain your own motivation. But when you train your mind to look for the hidden opportunity inside every obstacle, you unlock creativity, resilience, and growth that would never have been possible without the difficulty. Think about some of the greatest shifts in history. Many companies that thrive today were born out of economic recessions, technological changes, or massive disruptions. Instead of asking, "How do I survive this?" the people behind them asked, "How do I use this?" They looked at the same challenge everyone else faced, but they chose to see it as a door instead of a wall. That simple shift in mindset is powerful because challenges often force innovation. When everything is comfortable, you stay the same. When the environment is difficult, you are pushed to adapt, to create, and to grow in ways you never imagined. Turning challenges into opportunities also requires a willingness to ask better questions. Most people, when problems arise, ask, "Why me?" Or "What if I fail?" Those questions lead to fear and paralysis. But if you ask, "What is this teaching me? How can I use this to improve my business? What is the hidden advantage here?" your brain immediately starts to search for solutions. The quality of your questions determines the quality of your results. And better questions turn the energy of problems into the fuel of possibilities. For example, if sales drop, the first reaction may be panic, but inside that drop is valuable feedback. It could be showing you where your product needs improvement, where your customer service could be stronger, or where your marketing is missing the mark. Instead of seeing the decline as proof of failure, see it as data that guides you toward a better strategy. That shift turns the same challenge into an opportunity for growth and long-term strength. Another way challenges create opportunity is by building resilience in you as a leader. Easy times don't shape character, hard times do. Every setback you endure develops emotional strength, patience, and problem-solving ability. These qualities become part of your foundation, making you more prepared for the next level of business. Without challenges, you would never unlock this deeper capacity within yourself. What feels like pressure now is often preparation for bigger opportunities ahead. Challenges also reveal true priorities. When resources are limited and times are tough, you are forced to focus on what matters most. This clarity often leads to cutting unnecessary expenses, refining your strategies, and discovering leaner, smarter ways to operate. Many entrepreneurs have looked back and realized that their most difficult times actually created the systems and discipline that later fueled their success. Pressure strips away the excess and leaves you with the essentials that actually move the needle. It's also important to recognize that challenges can reveal hidden opportunities in the market itself. When others are too afraid to act, that is often the best time to innovate. Fear causes many to freeze, but those who move with courage often capture the opportunities that others missed. A difficult market might push you to launch a new product, enter a different segment, or serve customers in a unique way. What looks like chaos from the outside can be the exact environment where your next breakthrough is born. The process of turning challenges into opportunities is not about denying reality or pretending everything is positive. It is about choosing the most empowering meaning for what is happening and taking action based on that meaning. Every challenge can either be a reason to quit or a reason to grow. The decision is yours. When you see obstacles as opportunities, you no longer approach them with fear, you approach them with curiosity and determination. In the end, challenges are not punishments, they are invitations. They invite you to think differently, to grow stronger, to lead better, and to create innovations that would never exist without them. If you can adopt this mindset, you will not only survive hard times in business, you will emerge from them with skills, strategies, and strength that set you apart. Remember, the difference between those who break down and those who break through is not the size of the challenge, but the way they choose to see it. Motivation is not something that appears by chance or arrives only when circumstances are easy. It is something you build daily through habits that feed your growth and strengthen your discipline. Many people wait for motivation before they take action, but that is why they struggle. The truth is, action creates motivation, not the other way around. When you commit to daily habits of growth, you create an environment where motivation thrives naturally. These habits become the foundation that keeps you moving when emotions fluctuate and challenges feel overwhelming. Consistency is the secret. Anyone can feel inspired for a day, but inspiration without discipline fades quickly. Daily habits are what transform inspiration into long-term momentum. Think of it like physical fitness. Going to the gym once won't make you strong, but training consistently builds strength over time. The same applies to business. Reading one book won't transform your thinking, but feeding your mind every day compounds into a sharper perspective. Making one phone call may not grow your sales, but consistent outreach creates opportunities. Motivation built on discipline is unshakable because it does not rely on feelings. It relies on habits. The first habit of growth is movement. Taking care of your body directly affects your energy, focus, and drive. When you move your body daily, through exercise, stretching, or even a walk, you create energy instead of waiting for it. Energy fuels motivation. In hard times when stress is heavy, physical activity also becomes a release, giving you clarity and resilience. Ignoring your body weakens your mind, strengthening your body empowers your mind. Another powerful habit is feeding your mind with positivity and knowledge. What you consume daily shapes how you think. If you start your day with negativity, news overload, or distractions, your mindset will weaken. But if you fill your mind with growth, reading, listening to empowering content, studying strategies from leaders, you equip yourself with tools to handle challenges. Daily learning not only grows your skills, but also reminds you that solutions exist. Knowledge builds confidence, and confidence sustains motivation. Journaling or reflection is also a crucial growth habit. Taking a few minutes each day to write down what you achieved, what you learned, and where you need to improve keeps you focused. It shifts your attention from what is missing to what is progressing. This practice builds gratitude, and gratitude is one of the strongest fuels for motivation because it keeps you centered on what is working instead of drowning in what is not. Reflection also helps you see patterns and adjust faster, turning small mistakes into lessons instead of letting them repeat. Discipline and action is another key. When you set specific, measurable tasks for the day and commit to finishing them, you train yourself to act regardless of mood. Over time, this discipline becomes automatic. You no longer ask, "Do I feel like doing this?" You simply do it. The habit of honoring your own commitments strengthens self-trust. And when you trust yourself to follow through, motivation becomes easier to access because you no longer doubt your ability to take action. Surrounding yourself with the right environment can also be built into your daily habits. This means being intentional about who you communicate with, what content you consume, and even the physical space where you work. Small changes like keeping your workspace clean, using visual reminders of your goals, and engaging daily with uplifting voices can make a huge difference. Environment is habit, and habit shapes mindset. Lastly, celebrate progress daily, no matter how small. Recognition of small wins reinforces your brain's desire to keep going. Too many people wait to celebrate until they reach the big goal, but by then they have already lost motivation. By appreciating daily progress, you train your mind to associate effort with reward. This not only sustains motivation, but also makes the journey enjoyable instead of exhausting. Hard times in business test your resilience, but daily habits of growth protect your motivation from being destroyed by circumstances. They give you structure when everything feels uncertain. They remind you that no matter how much is out of your control, you can still control your effort, your energy, and your focus. Motivation will not always feel strong, but habits keep you moving until the feeling returns. And in the process, those habits transform you into someone stronger, more disciplined, and more prepared for the next level of success.